Hello, hello, hello. Today's reading, we will be taking a look at what dreams are made of. So the messages today are intended to guide you in achieving your dreams, or perhaps for some of you to figure out what that dream is and what you should be following. And effectively, it will just be guidance for your path to make these dreams come true. Again, these are general messages, so just take what messages resonate. Not everything that will come up in the pile will be a message for you specifically. They may be messages for other people who will be watching these videos. So please do keep that in mind as you are watching these. Before I get started, I just want to mention I won't be shuffling on camera today because we are using a couple new decks. So I wanted to make sure that I get the messages very clearly. And one of them that I think is going to be coming out has some pretty long explanations, and I'll try to read part of that for you in case there's any messages that I would miss if I didn't read it out word for word what it is. But let's get into it. Let's take a look here. We have 3 books today. Each book represents a different group that we are going to take a look at. Pick whichever book resonates the most for you for one reason or another. Also, I would recommend after your reading, if you believe it is your reading, if it resonates with you, I would recommend looking into the general synopsis of the book and what the overall ideas or themes are in the book, because this might help you as well in deciphering the message that comes up for your group as to any additional information that I may have missed, or not missed, but just haven't stated explicitly that the book itself represents. So here's for group 1. It's called Blood Howl, a book by William Kent Krueger. This is a mystery novel. The second book is an older copy of The Republic by Plato. And for our final group today, we have Cien, Años de la Soledad. So I'll just show you the books one more time. Blood Hollow, Murder Mystery, Plato's Republic, considered a philosophical book, and Cien Años de la Soledad. All right, so let's get into it. Hello, group number 1. If you chose this book, Blood Hollow by William Kent Krueger, this is going to be your reading for today. The first thing that I want to point out and mention is that there were 2 kind of groups of people that came through. The first one was something that was a little bit more whether business oriented, or maybe you have like more of like a concrete goal, like something specific you're trying to attain to, whether it's like within a career or something with like your creativity or athleticism or something, like some sort of like specific goal. There was kind of like a message for that. And then there's also this other message that I'll get into, which seems to be for people who are looking for love. I treated them as 2 separate things, but you may do well to listen to both halves of this reading, because there is, for most of you, there's going to be messages in both piles, because usually, you know, these things can be interconnected and influencing each other. And there does seem to be an aspect of that in this reading. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open up with this Raven's Wand Oracle. I'm going to read to you what it says in the book. So I pulled the Oak Endures, and this is kind of the overall energy for this reading. So I need to keep them back of your mind as I am explaining the cards that came out for you. This is generally, in a few words, like the ride or die card. Pretty much like persisting on and fighting really hard for something. But I'm going to read to you what the book has specifically. When Captain Ulfar sails north, he knows he faces terrible danger, but he cannot refuse, for he has made a promise. When his crew storms ashore, the war cry, Oak Endures, goes up and they surge ahead, stoic and unflinching. Ulfar embodies dedication to see things through, even if it means walking a dark path. He is a hard taskmaster, but he will not judge you for falling. To Ulfar, the only crime is to say, I will, and then slink away with your tail between your legs, having never even tried. All right, so this is going to make a lot more sense, especially once I get into this first group here. This is oriented for you to be able to view. So these cards at the bottom here, these are the clarification cards. And one thing that I really want to point out is that this first card here got a different one, but these 2, they got the same cards with the same orientation, further clarification, and then this one got like a bonus one. So let's just get into it. Let's just start from the beginning. So first we had the Page of Pentacles in reverse with the Three of Swords, and then flanking it on the other side was the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So you can see why this seems to be a very like a concrete goal orientation, something more specific about either career or talent that you're trying to develop. So I'll show you now too what we had clarifying them. So for the Page of Pentacles, we had, what is that? The Caballo de Copas in reverse, otherwise known as the Knight of Cups. Clarifying the Three of Swords, we have the Three of Swords. And clarifying the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, we had the Rey de Oros in reverse, and then also the Ten of Wands. So really at the heart of this reading here for people looking for a specific goal is definitely that there is some kind of heartache in the middle of this. There is going to be some kind of pain that you have to endure in order for these goals to come true. It's an inevitability at this point. This might be something in the past that you're still working through that you feel like is holding you back. This might be something that is starting to come into fruition in your life. You might start to feel really discouraged in terms of your goals, or you might just be heartbroken about maybe there's an outside relationship that's really influencing the way that you view your goals. Like maybe it's slowing you down and it's distracting you, and some kind of pain that you have going on, like maybe it's a loss of a family member, maybe it's a relationship that isn't going the way that you want it to, or maybe it's just some past regret that you're still holding on to, or something that's finally caught up with you. Either way, there's something that either has happened or is going to happen that's really going to influence your goals. And because I read like the final message for this as well, which you'll see later, but really what I'm getting for this card is that like you need to embrace this heartache. You really need to make your peace with it, because this is part of your journey. This is part of getting to the place where your dreams can come true, is experiencing this heartache. And like, because the experience in itself is not only going to be what makes it possible, but then in the end, when you get out of this heartache, it will make you like wiser, it will make you smarter, and it will in the end contribute to making you like stronger in fulfilling your goals. So even though of course it's not any fun to deal with, it's obviously a pretty dark energy, a pretty painful energy, it is absolutely necessary for you to achieve your goals in the way that you want to achieve them. Because I mean, with any dream that you have, there's always going to be a little bit of pain, but this is just saying like this is going to be something that you can't avoid. It's part of your journey, and again, you just really need to embrace it. So with the Page of Pentacles clarified by the Knight of Cups, both of them are in reverse. This is telling me that there is something that it's kind of like you're being stubborn, like you're not willing to learn something new or look into like a new way of doing things. You might be resisting just getting further education on whatever your goal is. This might be because you might already have this idea of, well, it's like I already have all the qualifications I need. I already know everything that I need to know. Like, why would I study anymore? It could be something like that. Or this might even be like taking a perspective almost on some of the things around you, because with this Knight of Cups in reverse, like with this deck in particular, it's kind of like talking about how you're lacking a balance between like idealism and romanticism with realistic and something that's kind of more, I would say like pragmatic, like something that's more like concrete. So you just have like this stubborn energy that's holding you back from learning something new that's actually going to help you move forward and balance like your emotions with your thoughts. Like maybe your goals are overly ambitious. Maybe you aren't being realistic about what your goals are. You might be like, say for example, if you're trying to lose weight, you might be like, yeah, there's no reason why I can't lose 2 pounds a week. There's no reason at all. And then you go on like a really hardcore diet and like a really rigid exercise program. This might be warning you that you're being stubborn and you're not really realizing that this strict regimen that you've set up for yourself is harming another part of your life. So even though idealistically it seems like very attainable, like even if you look at like your time, you're like, yeah, there's no reason why I can't set aside this amount of time. It's robbing you of something in your emotions, maybe a little bit of your sanity. It's like, it's too much. And that whole message of it being too much is augmented by this 10 of Wands in reverse. So let's take a look here then at the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, clarified by Knight of Pentacles, or sorry, what is this? The King of Pentacles in reverse, clarified by the King of Pentacles in reverse. Kind of wild. So again, this is another like really strong thing for you to pay attention to. And I feel like this is also saying that with this stubborn energy here, it's saying that because you're refusing to learn more, because you're refusing to like open up your mind and be open to like different approaches and different ways of doing things, it's overwhelming you. And not only that, it's putting you in a position where you're more likely to make a bad decision. So like with this deck specifically, what is this? Yeah, the Deviant Moon Tarot. This one tends to indicate, about like a swindler or a cheat, like someone who is there to scam you. And this one's kind of more talking about making good business decisions. So what this could be saying is that, again, because you're refusing to learn more, you're not giving yourself the clarity to be able to make reasonable calls in your business. So if you're a freelancer, for example, if you're uneducated about the business aspect of what you do, like maybe you're a freelance photographer and that's what you want to do. Maybe you don't know enough about how much to charge and like how to like formulate a schedule and how to create boundaries really. Maybe you're not educated on that enough, or you're at a point where because of this lack of information, this lack of education, you're in a position where you're more likely to get taken advantage of. You're in a position where you're vulnerable to getting burnt out because you don't have those boundaries, and you might be like so set on achieving a specific goal, and in your mind it might be perfectly realistic, like, well, I have 16 hours in a day that I'm awake, so why can't I spend 10 hours a day working, or anything, something like that. But this is just telling you to really slow down and get the education that you need, because you're in a vulnerable position right now. And again, going back to this Three of Swords, that's part of your mission, that's part of your journey with making your dreams come true, is learning these hard lessons. But this is telling you too that it doesn't have to be as hard as you're making it. So again, whatever this Three of Swords is for you, whether it's an outside relationship or outside factor, not specific to your goal or to your career that you're trying to do, or this could even be something from like within your career. Maybe you've just experienced a lot of disappointment. Again, maybe you've been taken advantage of a lot and you felt like you've been backstabbed a lot. This is telling you that the reason why you're getting taken advantage of is because you haven't slowed down to take the time to educate yourself on like the auxiliary factors of your business, the auxiliary factors of your goal. Because like whether you're doing like a freelance business, or you're just trying to hit a specific health goal or something like that, all of these things, there's something like beyond that specific journey that will help you build it stronger. So again, if you're a freelancer, learning business is always helpful. If it's a health goal, like you really need to understand like taking care and nurturing your emotions as well, because your emotional health and your physical health go hand in hand. And quite frequently as well, you will find that your physical health, your goals are a lot easier to achieve. And sometimes you just achieve them automatically by focusing on your personal stress. So that's something that's really important for you to understand. It's not like, don't get tunnel vision is what it's saying. All right, and so from the Victoria Francis Oracle cards, I pulled this card, the number 14. I'm going to read to you what this says, and this is basically the message for those of you who are more like goal and business oriented, and then after this we'll get into the love message that came through. Okay, so number 14 here, this is the sunken cradle. The overall idea of this card is going with the flow. And here's what it says. Going with the flow may sound idealistic, but actually this is what is required of you now. You do not need to take immediate action or do anything in particular. Just allow things to float along as they are. You may have recently gone through emotional changes, and it is likely you have experienced many emotions such as sadness, anger, and frustration. Now you're slowly coming out of the other side and beginning to feel more like your old self. Just allow yourself to be who you need to be at this time. This is a card of slow pace, so accept this. There's no action to take. Just be kind to yourself and allow the healing process to work. Your instinct will let you know when you have to act. So for now, just relax and listen to your inner guidance for further instruction. So again, this is just talking about like being emotionally overwhelmed and needing to slow down and kind of just going with the flow, because you might, again, you just probably are just like so hardcore into that tunnel vision that there is some aspect of your life that is lacking, that is suffering as a result, because you're not putting the time and attention into it that you need to, and so you're finding it hard to achieve your goals, even though you think you're giving like 100% to your goal and it's still not happening. This is why you need to slow down, take care of your emotional health, balance things out a little bit more, and just find more resources and stop forcing things, you know, like take the time to do the work to find out the additional like auxiliary stuff that you need to work on. So let's get into the second half of this, and stick around because we'll get to the piece of advice for you after I read this message, which is a more love-oriented one, but this doesn't have to be specifically for love, so don't be turned off by that. Okay, so your first card here is the Lovers, and then you also have the Four of Swords. Okay, clarifying the Lovers, we have the Rey de Espadas in reverse, otherwise known as the King of Swords. In clarifying the Four of Swords, we have El Ermitaño, otherwise known as the Hermit, which makes perfect sense. Okay, so basically what this is saying to me here is that there is some kind of passion or some kind of love that you want to achieve in your life, but right now isn't specifically the time. With this King of Swords in reverse, it could be that someone is just not being open to clarity, like they're not open to putting in the effort that needs to be put in, or they're not able to focus on it in a way that is like logical and reasonable. What this could be saying is that maybe it's getting a little bit out of hand. You might be hyper focused on this relationship and trying to make it work instead of being realistic and focusing on other aspects in your life. And this is further emphasized by the Four of Swords and the Hermit. So the Four of Swords here in the upright position is kind of like a rest. Like this kind of indicates that you have like this Three of Swords energy, like this pain, this is in the past, and you're kind of resting after having gone through this pain until you're at the point where you're ready to get out of the ground and move forward. And the Hermit, of course, is also like that same kind of energy, like going within and looking at yourself and working on yourself and your personal issues, and kind of just taking the time for not only just self-care, but learning more and like focusing on your personal spirituality and learning how to love yourself and things like that. So this overall message for you, if you're looking for love, or if it just happens to be in your life and you're not looking for it, is basically just saying you need to focus on yourself first, because if you don't, you're going to be in this relationship where, yeah, it's very passionate, but there's going to be a huge element that's missing. If you're already in this situation where you're already in this relationship, you might feel like the other person is a bit cold, or this might be you. One of you two is very cold and off-putting, and maybe they're kind of, I want to say like barbaric in a way. They might be a little bit snappy. They might be just imposing, like I want to say imposing a lot of rules for some reason. They might be like really strict about like the organization of the relationship. There's probably a little bit of mistrust, but this is something that's kind of like in your head or in their head, where it's just like this thing that they've created and imagined, and the way to get out of that energy, like this negative sort of bossy energy, where maybe there's like a lack of trust between the two of you because something happened in the past, is one or both of you just kind of need to spend more time like going within, working on yourself, taking a rest, not being afraid to and be alone and really work on yourself. Because obviously with any relationship, the better relationship you have with yourself, the better relationship you're going to have with other people. And so pretty concise message there for you guys. So clarifying the reading for those of you looking for love or in a relationship is the number 11. This is the Victoria Francis Oracle Code card. I'm going to read to you specifically what it says in the book. All right, so this is known as the Autumn Bride, and the overall meaning of this card is beauty, healing, and kindness. All right, this is what it says. So there's a beautiful flow of energy around you. Your energy is high, and people around you can sense and feel the glow exuberating from your aura. Your positive energy is rubbing off on others. They'll be aware of psychic vampires, those who drain your energy when they see your light shining brightly. If you feel you are in need for healing, this card suggests that you reconnect with nature. Feel the grass beneath your feet and the air in your face, or do something which will help you to feel rejuvenated. This is an excellent time to tap into your inner thoughts. Your mind is calm and receptive. There are times when we all need to step out of the rat race and be kind to ourselves. This is your time now. So again, it's just reiterating that Four of Swords and that Hermit energy, saying that you just need to heal yourself, focus on yourself, take care of yourself, focus on that. And then this Lover's energy that you have, it will get out of like this kind of like nasty, like mental energy. And, you know, if there's just like any kind of confusion related to that, it will start to put an end to it because you've been working on yourself. Or maybe it's been draining you because it's just, again, there's like so many impositions, there's so many rules and perhaps mistrust that's going on between the two of you, that you need to go within nature, as it said, and that's the way that it's suggesting that you heal. And because you're dealing with another person in this energy, I did pull a couple of messages for you guys specifically. These are intended to be from your person. So if they could say anything to you right now in regards to this relationship and making it happen and like having your dreams come true together, this is what they need you to know. So the first message is, I'm so unhappy. I don't know what I want. And lastly, you make me feel alive. So this person is obviously, they think that you're something very important for them. It's just that there's something going on where, again, they're in this King of Swords energy reverse, where they're just not happy with whatever is going on in their personal life. I don't think that they're saying that they're not happy with you so much as it is that maybe they have personal unhappiness that maybe they're hiding from you, or that they bring into this relationship that's really taking a toll on the both of you. And them saying that, I don't know what I want. This could be, again, for either of you, but yeah, it sounds like the both of you kind of just need to take a little bit of a time out to sort of reflect on your personal selves and kind of work through things. This person might be so in their head that they've confused themselves. You didn't get like the thing that said I need space, so this is something that you guys can probably work on together, but you need to make sure that you're in a position where you're strong enough to work this through, and that you're not going to act like coldly or overly emotional and just kind of be rude and unfair and unjust to each other. Because again, this last message is, you make me feel alive. So this person definitely has some really good energy with you. They most likely they want to get back to that. And again, you had the Lovers in the upright position, so there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of romance in this relationship. It's just that right now it's a bit tainted because you guys haven't done the work to go within yourselves and be okay like on your own, and there's outside burdens that both of you are bringing into this relationship that you kind of need to be able to address as individuals. All right, so I have one final card here for you guys. Again, this is whether the first message about business resonated with you, or the Lover's message, or both. This is going to be your advice on what to do for this group. This is from the White Light Oracle. All right, so you got the 528 Hertz Mandala of the Heart card. So that might be something that you guys want to do after watching this video. Maybe you want to do meditation with that frequency. And I'm just going to read a little bit of the book because they're pretty long explanations. So here's the overall. Sometimes aspects of our life fall apart or don't go to plan. This is so they can come back together in a beautiful new way. Trust in the goodness and the inevitable blessing of your destiny falling into place. Do not trust your fears. Put your faith in the love of your heart. A heartfelt wish is going to manifest. So this is telling me that regardless of whichever message resonated more or if both did, you really need to, again, like focus on that heart space that you have, because there's a lot of emotional stuff that you have to sift through, and that seems to be affecting and obscuring your goals or your relationships around you. So take the time to do the work, to do the healing that you need in order to make the most of this and make your dreams come true. And that's it for you guys, group number 3. We'll see you in another video. Okay, group number 2, if you chose Plato's Republic, then this message is for you. Please again keep in mind that not all the messages may resonate. They may be for specific people who are also watching this video and not specific towards you. Much like the other group that I just read for, group 1, they had 2 separate distinct messages, one for love and one for career, and you did as well. So I'm going to open up with a love specific message, and then I'll move on to the more career goal-oriented message if you're not looking for love. But I do highly recommend that you listen to both halves of this group, because there may be messages in both groups for you no matter what your situation is, because in all cases, life never is specifically just for love or specifically just for career or for your goals. There's always going to be a mix of the two, even if your focus is maybe only on one instead of the other. But actually, sorry, before we get into that, I'm going to read the overall message. So whether you are more geared towards like a career or a specific goal, or whether you're more geared towards like making your dreams come true with a lover, this message is what's going to be the overall atmosphere, the overall feeling of your reading. So you have the Unity card, and this is from the Raven's Wand Oracle. I'm going to read to you exactly what it says in the book. Landlord unifies. Notice how all animals and plants stream from him, both male and female. He also fuses animal and human into a mystical being known as a Therianthrope. He's reminding you that all life is interconnected, that we all comprise the same matter, which is constantly recycled by life and death. Other forms of life are no lesser or greater than us, only different aspects of the whole. Landlord is encouraging you to share this world, not dominate it. All right, so keep that message in mind as I am reading the rest of these cards to you. So, if you are looking for love, I'm going to show you the first cards that I drew, and then I'll explain what the clarification cards are. So overall, pretty positive, especially if you're looking for love. So your first card here is the Four of Wands, which tends to represent a lot of stability and happiness. This is definitely a romance-related card. The second card here is Ten of Swords. And the third card that I drew was the Ten of Cups. So the center, kind of a lot like the last reading. In the center here, you do have the Ten of Swords, which is being supported by, or I guess it's just like in the middle of having like this stability. Like this is kind of like a marriage card, right? Because these guys are married and they have a home together. This is like a strong family life. And then this is more of like the emotional fulfillment part of like having that family life. But in the middle, there is some kind of turmoil. And even though the Ten of Swords is considered probably the darkest and the most painful card in the tarot, it is also really important to remember that this is a 10, which means that this is a cycle closing out. And I will explain more about that here when I show you these clarification cards. So clarifying the Four of Wands was the Three of Swords. And what this indicates to me is that you might be in a relationship currently or freshly out of a relationship, wherever this ends up in the timeline for you. This relationship that you have relied on for stability might be pretty painful at this time for one reason or another. You might feel betrayed by your partner. You might feel like it doesn't have a stable foundation because there's just all these negative emotions that are like coming into play. Like you feel maybe like your house has been built on sand, something like that, where it just, like on the outside it looks really firm and really stable and really happy, but then there's something like deeper going on within. And because this isn't the 10 of Swords, it's not as bad as it could be, but there's still this element of like disappointment, of hurt, of pain that is underlying the stability. And so for clarifying the 10 of Swords, what did you have here? Yeah, you had the 6 of Swords as well as the 3 of Wands. All right, and this is actually pretty good news because the 6 of Swords traditionally, it means moving on to greener pastures. It's like moving out of the past and moving to a new place in your life. And this is going to be repeated again in the clarification cards for the 10 of Cups. But yeah, it's really important to remember that you're starting to close out this cycle of intense emotional pain. This to me feels like less of like this existing relationship that you're in, or this relationship that you recently got out of, or maybe you're not actually in a relationship with someone. There's just this general feeling of having, like living in a house of cards, so to speak. Like your emotional stability or your ability to romance is extremely unstable, and like it feels really shaky, even though like on the outside you try really hard to make it look perfect. But this is saying like you're gonna be moving on to better things. And this card here is typically a card of impatience or like waiting for something to grow. But with this deck, it is more about going within and kind of like reflecting on yourself, I believe, and really understanding that some work needs to be done. So in order for you to move forward, you have to do some self-reflection and understand that this pain that you went through or that you're going through, it's about to end, you're about to get out of it, but there's a really important message that you need to take from this pain, because this is going to educate you on how to move forward and how to have the relationship of your dreams, because right now you don't. Like right now it's obscured by some of this negative stuff that you've been through. And again, whether that's like a breakup, whether somebody cheated on you, definitely could have happened, or just general trust issues that you have with your relationships right now. And so to clarify the 10 of Cups, you have the 8 of Cups upright, and then La Muerte, or death, in the reverse. So basically what this is saying to me is that in order for you to have like this ultimate happiness that you really want, whether it's like a family or just a generic, or not generic, but like a stable relationship with the person of your dreams, there is a change that needs to happen. Whether you want it to or not, it's going to happen. And you have to let something go. There's something that you have to let die, because the 8 of Cups talks about moving from one thing into something better. It's really like a card of liberation. It's understanding that your current situation is no longer serving you and you're ready to move into a better energy. So what this is saying is, for some of you, you're currently in a relationship that you need to let go of, because this relationship, which you thought, was all like hunky-dory, like perfect on the outside, it is no longer serving you, or like maybe it was like a karmic relationship where there was like something, like a lesson that you needed to learn from this relationship, but it's time to move on. Or this could also just mean that you're leaning into this relationship like way too much and it's done nothing for you. And for others of you, like this thing that you need to move on from might be something outside of the relationship specifically. It could be that there is a bad habit that you're holding on to, or a bad way of thinking that's really holding back your relationship if you're currently in one, or if you're trying to manifest one. But there's just something in your life that needs to go. It's time to let go. And for most of you, you are already feeling that this thing is slipping away. And for some of you, that's what this pain is like you're feeling this relationship or this other thing in your life that is holding you back from manifesting your perfect relationship or your dream relationship, because no relationship is perfect. you can already feel that it's slipping away. And so some of you, you're going to know exactly what I mean by letting go. And it's not going to be something that you want to let go, but the universe is really doing everything it can to force you to do that. And you really, eventually you are going to get to this point of the Eight of Cups where you accept that it's over, and you start to understand, like on your own volition, that like, wow, yeah, this relationship was pretty shitty, or wow, the situation I was in was not good for me at all. It was way holding me back. It was keeping me trapped in this Ten of Swords. You know, like that's a thing. And sometimes the Ten of Swords is self-imposed. Sometimes it's just accumulation of things that have happened over a life that we can't control. And in either situation, again, this is a cycle that's coming to an end, and you're almost out of it. And that's the most important thing to remember, is just now at this point, you have to let go. You have to let something die, and you have to move on to the next, so that you can have this Ten of Cups, this ultimate fulfillment. All right, and because a love reading did come up, or love message rather, I did pull some messages from your person. So for those of you who have like a specific person that you're thinking of, these will be messages from them, whether it's the person you're currently in a relationship with or trying to manifest a relationship with. And then for others of you who are single but you are looking for love, but there's no one already in your mind, this could be from someone who might be like your soulmate, someone who is going to be the next person to come up in your life that you want to manifest a relationship with. So the first card here is I need time. So this person, they might have just recently gone through something, or maybe they're not ready to rush into something because there's other things they need to focus on or consider before having a fully committed relationship. Your next message is there's someone else. So don't freak out, because there's another card in this deck too that says I want someone else. So this could just mean that there's like a third party influence that is making it hard for this person to fully commit to this relationship. They might be confusing them. This third party might be obscuring like their priorities, so to speak, or I mean, not even necessarily obscuring. It might be just that there's something else that they really need to focus on first before they can fully move into this relationship for it to be the thing of your dreams. And for some of you, you might actually be wanting to say this to your person. Like maybe you're stuck between two different people, or there is like another figure, like say in your family or one of your friends, who's really making it hard. And for some of you, like this someone else is an ex that you're really struggling to find closure with, and you're needing to move on before you do that. So the next message from a person is you heal me. So even though this person needs time to make this decision, this person definitely feels like your relationship with them is very positive. So part of the message with this Four of Wands and Three of Swords combo might be that this Three of Swords is from the past, and the two of you are building this Four of Wands together, and you're helping this person get through this Three of Swords energy. Or it could be the reverse, where this person is helping you move past the Three of Swords energy. But the thing is, either one of you just hasn't gotten to the point yet where they're fully ready to let go of that pain. Because sometimes, honestly, for us, we let our traumatic past or the pain that we hold on to define us in a way. And I feel like it's saying that you kind of need to let go of that identity and be willing to be someone else. You know, it's no longer that you're like this broken person. You are ready to become like something full and like complete in yourself and like happy and have everything that you want. And it's going to be a really painful transformation. That's what I'm seeing here. But you just need to accept that and be okay with it, because your last card here is I want to change. So really you do just need to make peace with that, because the change is going to happen, and you're going to have this 10 of Cups that you are wanting so badly. But you have to be willing to let go of something that's really holding you back. You know, you can't just sit in this negative energy forever. You have to let the cycle close so that this new one can open. You have to make room for it, because if you're spending all day like lamenting over a past relationship or something like that, things that have worked out in the past. If you're letting your past fears define your new relationship, it's kind of like you can add pain that wouldn't otherwise be there because your expectations or your perspective is skewed because of these bad things that occurred in the past. All right, so I got 2 additional messages for you guys here. I have one from the Victoria Francis Oracle cards. You got number 14. This is generally about moving with the flow. This one actually just came up in the last one, but it was more for their business. So I'm going to read to you exactly what it says in the book in case there's additional messages. So again, this is called the Sunken Cradle. General idea is going with the flow. Going with the flow may sound idealistic, but actually that is required of you right now. You do not need to take immediate action or do anything particular, just allow things to float along as they are. You may have recently gone through emotional changes, and it is likely you have experienced many emotions such as sadness, anger, and frustration. Now you're slowly coming out of the other side and beginning to feel more like your old self. Just allow yourself to be who you need to be at this time. This is a card of slow pace, so accept this. There's no action to take, just be kind to yourself and allow the healing process to work. Your instinct will let you know when you have to act, so for now, just relax and listen to your inner guidance for further instruction. Okay. And again, I do want to point out that there are a lot of wands and swords in this reading, so there's a lot of passion and a lot of thinking energy, and you kind of need to let go of some of like these impulsions. Like it feels like a lot of you guys have this impulse to just overthink everything to death and just find problems where there aren't problems, or not even just that, but like maybe there is a legitimate problem and you just fixate on it more than you actually want to. It's like you seem like you guys tend to be very anxious, over analytical, and it's like another message that I'm getting is just kind of need to chill, relax, let things die that are supposed to die. Like you can't save everything, you can't have everything, you can't make everyone happy. You know, that's a big message that I'm getting now. All right, and then the second message is from the White Lake Oracle. It is the Sacrament of Extreme Unction, otherwise known as the Last Rites. And again, this is playing into that message of let things die that are supposed to die. Like you can't control some of these things. You can postpone it a little bit, and you can try to keep it alive by the worries and anxiety in your mind. Like sometimes that's what we'll do, is we'll just fixate on something, because the more that we think about it, the more we can kind of like keep the idea alive, like in our minds and in our hearts, even though in all actuality it's time to let go. But it just becomes like a zombie, I guess is what I want to say, or like Frankenstein's monster or something. It's like it's not natural, and it's not inevitably will end in tragedy. Like the more you just fixate on it. This isn't actually like the specific message for this. I'm gonna read this to you, but it's just another message that I'm getting is some of you guys are just overly fixated on either like a past relationship or a current like hurt that you're experiencing, and you're just thinking it to death, and it is really eating you up inside, and you're having trouble letting the past be in the past for one reason or another. And that's not to like and I really want to be really clear that I know that it's really hard to let go of that, and it is definitely, it can be a very long process, a long and growing process. And so if you feel that way, if you feel like you're stuck in your head, like don't be ashamed of that, because it is definitely something very natural even to want to experience sometimes, especially if you're a very anxiously prone person. But the thing is that you need to be a little bit more graceful with yourself, and like don't beat yourself up about this. Understand that like no matter how good something might have seemed in the past or how much you wanted something, there's also like the case too is like just because you're letting something go doesn't mean that you're giving up on it in a way. I feel like somebody needs to hear that. It's just really, I know it's really hard, and it's definitely a process, and none of you are going to walk away from this reading and just let go of it right away, obviously. Take time with yourself, be kind to yourself. It's it's going to be a long process for most of you, especially if it's like the 10 of Swords. But this is just reminding you that once you get out of that, once you can learn to see it like on your own volition and walk away from it, you will see that things will get better. Just don't trap yourself in your mind. And because we didn't get, what is it, the 8 of Swords, that one didn't come out. It's kind of like something that you're struggling with, and it's something that it's not even necessarily you're choosing to be in. It might be there's a lot of reminders and things around you that make you feel like you're getting forced into this thought, whether it's because you're currently with this person who's creating this turmoil, or this is baggage that they have or baggage that you have. Whatever it is, I don't know why I'm going on this monologue, but whatever it is, yeah, it's something that's kind of been imposed on you, and is just telling you to walk away from those influences, walk away from like those things that are bringing you down and causing you to be anxious and overthink, because that's not where you're supposed to be. You know, it's something that's just really hurting you and holding you back. So I'm gonna close out this this part of the reading now by reading just sort of, there's actually a really long explanation for these cards, so I'm just going to read you the short version. So here it goes. Your heart knows how to let go so you can find peace. It is time for you to experience spiritual closure. A beautiful new reality is opening up for you. Entering it requires you to release your attachment to the past. You have been inwardly preparing for a powerful rebirth. Now is the time to trust in what is meant for you and move towards it with an open, trusting heart and peaceful mind. Yeah, I guess that just ended up being pretty much everything I was just saying. It's like there's something you need to let go of, and then as soon as you let go of that, it seems like it's almost instantaneous. There aren't like any movement cards specifically because there aren't like any knights here, but it's like as soon as you like let this thing die or let go of this thing in your past that's really like holding you back, that's really getting you fixated, it's stuck in your head, you're going to get this, like, I'm not going to say immediately, but pretty close. Like this is going to open up. So for some of you, this might mean that the relationship that you already have is just like suddenly going to get better because you are learning not to let your past relationships influence your current relationship. And others of you, it's just walking from a relationship that you're currently in or that you're trying to start or that was in the past and just letting go and forgiving. So I know this message got a bit long for the love one, and we still have the career one to get into. So that's what I'm going to move into. But because these were two pretty separate messages, again, I would still encourage you to listen to the career-based one as well, because there's probably something in here that you need to hear. All right. So now for the more career and goal-oriented messages, I'm going to get these cards out for you. This message is a bit more concise than the love message. Because that one, I guess there was just a lot that somebody needed to hear, if not most people. Okay, so overall message that I'm getting for you guys. If you skip the unity, I would go back to the start of the video to listen to that overall message for that. But it's like you guys are holding yourselves back in a way, like you guys are conflicting yourselves. So I'm going to go through these cards like separately. So the first one that came out was the Knight of Wands, followed by the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. And then you had two cards that came out together. So you had the High Priestess and the Four of Cups in reverse. Four of Cups in reverse is usually a pretty good thing though, so all right, so then let's start over again from the beginning. So the Knight of Wands accompanied by the Caballo de Espadas, otherwise known as the Knight of Swords. It's kind of like there's these two separate energies. So Knight of Swords tends to be, yeah, Knight of Swords and Knight of Wands, they both tend to be pretty fast-moving energy. But it's like you're ready to move forward fully with your passions, but something in your head is like slamming the brakes. It's like you just have like this weird conflicting energy where it's like stop and go and stop and go, or sorry, like start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. So you might be prone, like with your goals, to have really explosive and intense burst of like hyper focused activity, and then you kind of like like slam the brakes and then pause and work on other things for a while. And it's just really like back and forth and inconsistent energy that I'm getting. So with the Nine of Pentacles, this can tend to talk about irresponsibility, especially with this deck in particular. But then you also have the Sota de Oros as well as the Ten of Pentacles. So this is a Page of Pentacles. That's what that means. So it's really interesting that this is in the upright, but then the Knight of Pentacles is upside down, and these were the clarifying cards. So this is kind of like a warning of saying that the reason why you're not making forward progress is not only because of your inconsistency, but because you're just being irresponsible, and you might have to take a look at your finances and how you're handling them, and your general overall stability. Part of the reason why you might have a stop and go energy, like this, just is really inconsistent, like you go really, really hard and then you stop for a while, and then you go really hard and then you stop, is because you're not taking the time to build a stable foundation for yourself. So for some of you, you might have like a passion that requires a lot of time or a big financial investment. Actually, no, I think for most of you, it's just like a huge time investment where it's taking away from you like working a conventional job or something like that. Or maybe it's just taken away from your overall work hours. And this is just kind of inviting you to slow down and refocus your priorities and take a minute to understand that if you don't have this stable foundation, it's really hard to like find a consistent way forward. And it can also mean for some of you too, you might need a little bit more education on what you're trying to go into, and you might need to slow down to take a look at that. But there is like an enthusiasm here for sure. It's just that you need to go back a little bit, stop, like kind of get out of like this motion card, because like a Knight is more about motion, and get more back into this Page card where you're kind of in the planning and preparation and really just focusing on your stability. So for some of you guys, this might mean that you have to taper down on the time that you spend on your passions. So if you're doing like training, for example, if you're an athlete, you might have to do less hours in the gym and then sign up for more hours at work as you can. Or maybe you just have to find a new job that will provide a solid backbone for you while you're in this time of preparation. And if you're doing like something else where you're just doing more freelance or artistic work or something like that, because I feel like most of you, that's what you are. You're doing very freelance or hyper specialized work that requires like a lifestyle change. Right now you're just lacking that solid foundation to fall back on, because if you can't pay your bills, it's really hard to go out there and train really hard, or go out there and spend time just doing like either volunteer work or spending time indulging, I don't want to say indulging, but developing your hobbies, because it's like you're constantly getting yanked out of that, and you can't be in your ideal routine because reality like just keeps slapping you in the face and bringing you back, like, hey, come back, like you need to stop, like you can't spend X amount of money on your hobbies anymore, like creating XYZ. You can't just bake like 20 cakes and then expect to still have money to pay the bills right now because you're not working, you're just baking all day, something like that. So it's a huge thing that you really need to focus on. So then with this High Priestess of reverse alongside this Four of Cups in reverse, it's kind of like saying that you're starting to get to the point of like being optimistic, but it's like, yeah, it's almost like you're overly optimistic and you're kind of naive. Like again, that goes back to like the stop and go energy. Like part of why you can't like if you're really unstable in achieving your goals and making your dreams come true is because, yeah, there's just a sense of naivete. Like you're underestimating like how much you really need to like wisen up, and like again, like going back to like having a solid foundation, you're undervaluing that, and you're just being overly optimistic, and you're kind of denying. Like there's definitely something that's pulling at you to remind you that you do need to be like focused on your stability, and you can't just like, you're just not in a position to be 100% about your dreams. You're just not. Like that's the overall message. And you need to stop like blocking your intuition, because I'm sure like whether it's just body aches or just, you know, you're getting really good at like shuffling your money places that you're not supposed to put it, like using credit cards to pay off credit cards, like that kind of a thing. It's time to end that, and then you will be moving into a more positive direction. And what clarified those two cards was the Magician in reverse. So again, that's just kind of like saying like there's some sort of irresponsibility that's blocking you from manifestation. And then once you deal with this and you go back and you just focus on the basics, like you're just hyper focused on your dreams right now, but that's not where you're supposed to be. Like right now there's something in your life beyond that that's just really lacking, that needs a lot of attention that you're just not giving it. And I know that sucks, because it's never fun to, it's more fun to chase after your dreams and go 100%. And, you know, some people really romanticize like the, what is it, like the starving artist archetype, but it's not healthy. It's not realistic. If you really want to see your dreams reach their full potential, you have to have some sense of like stability. You have to be able to take care of yourself too. Like don't get too caught up in that weird dream world of like, oh, well, I'm suffering, but you know, like that's how it's supposed to be. It's like, no, it doesn't have to be. Like that's what this is saying. It doesn't have to be as hard as it is right now. And yeah, it sucks to take time out from being completely involved in your dreams. But I mean, like I can tell you like from experience, like if you, whether it's like only a few weeks, a few months, or a few years, taking that time to fix your stability and having that security blanket will go so far in the future. And you might even be surprised to find that in the process of working on that security blanket for yourself and really, you know, focusing, whether it's like a financial issue or some other issue that you have, like these seem to be like there's a lot of like practical issues that you're ignoring, like maybe you have issues with the car. Again, this all kind of just seems to come down to like not managing your finances well and not prioritizing them, because you might be the kind of person that thinks, oh, you know, money's nice, but I don't need it. Like I can still live, you know, it's hard, but I'm okay. It's like you shouldn't really get in the habit of that. You should value yourself a little bit more and give yourself a little bit more comfort, because again, you've already seen there's a stop and go energy because of like your lack of financial stability. So you need to just slow down and focus on that, because once you have it, then you'll be able to go like with consistency. You know, be reasonable too. Like don't obviously like as soon as, you know, you make $1,000 and you save that up, like go and like train real hard, or like completely like go down the rabbit hole of making your dreams come true and like quit your job, because that's not enough money obviously to get you through. Like you need that kind of like security blanket for when things come up, because they inevitably do. So just focus on that and don't undervalue these things, because also too, you might find that when you focus on the stability, when you actually take the time to take care of this, you might also find that your goals are easier to work on, because you can just focus better, because you're not constantly worried about paying the bills. You're not constantly worrying about, oh man, how am I gonna like, you know, pay to hang out with friends? How am I going to make it to this thing that I want to go to? How am I going to be able to afford going to this conference? How can I afford to go to like this meeting? You know, there's going to be way more doors that open up for you, and you're going to be able to invest in the equipment and the stuff that you need to make your dreams come true. And you won't have that like constant nagging in the back of your head saying that, oh, yada, yada, yada. Like there's just so much that you're worried about, you know. And when you silence that, like it's going to be so much easier to just throw yourself into your dreams. So don't undervalue the importance of this. Okay, and so you guys have 2 more messages before we close this reading out. The first one is going to be from the Victoria Francis Oracle. So number 23, it is called Surrendering to the Magic. Yeah, again, like falling back on that Magician card. Okay, so the overall idea of this card is awareness and creating harmony. Here's what it says. There's so much wisdom and psychic potential within you, but you're not listening to what your heart is telling you. You only have to tap into it to awaken these primal senses. Your inability not to trust your instincts is leading you down a path which feels uncertain. You are feeling frustrated as things do not seem to be working out in your favor, and quite understandably, you are feeling demoralized. You must learn to trust. Do not hide your potential, bring it out into the world and shine your light, and you will be amazed at how quickly life can turn around for the better when your heart and soul are in harmony. So it seems like for some of you, these pentacles that you need to focus on are kind of more like balancing and using your talent in a better way, a way that brings you stability instead of just using them like for fun. That might be a message for some of you. Okay, and then the last one here is going to be from the White Light Oracle. There's huge explanations for these, so I'm only going to read a tiny bit of the whole thing. All right, so you guys got number 40, Queen Mauve. There we go. Okay. Value what is sacred to you by protecting it from interference, even that which may be well-intentioned. Be compassionate, but set firm boundaries. You're going to triumph over a negative situation. It will take courage, but you have more than enough inner strength, resourcefulness, and boldness to accomplish what you wish to attain. Do not give up. You have the ability to connect with higher worlds, so open your heart and mind to the light. Okay. All right, so that's it for you guys. Group number 2. I hope those messages helped you out, and I hope to see you again in another video. Thank you. Hello, group 3. So if you chose this book, Cien Años de Soledad, which means 100 years of solitude, then this reading is for you. So off the bat, you guys definitely seem to be the most spiritual out of all the groups that I have done today, more so than the other two. And especially because the other two groups kind of had distinct and separate messages for love versus career and more like concrete goals, so to speak. But your guys' messages seem to be intertwined. So I'm going to start off with a message from the Raven's Wand Oracle, and this is going to be kind of how you should be interpreting the reading, like something you should keep in mind in the back of your head as you're listening to these messages. All right, so it is the power of words in reverse, and this is what the book says. Tradition says that the weaver of fate is a great spider known as the Times Keeper, by delivering him heartfelt notes via his lesser kin, the pentacle spiders. Ruby Hawthorne hopes her words can influence her fate. Of all humanity's achievements, language is perhaps the greatest gift and curse. Words have power. Once again, they cannot be taken back. In our age of instant communication, they can travel the globe in seconds and be preserved indefinitely. Be precise with your words and send them into the world as ambassadors, not weapons. Okay, so you guys might be dealing with a lot of gossip or issues like that. It seems like that might be kind of holding you back and harming you. Some of you, definitely that is true, and others of you, it is your words specifically that you're saying to other people that are heavily influencing the way that your dreams are coming into manifestation, and you just need to be a little bit more mindful of them. So let's get started in the reading here. It's kind of, I was just trying to figure out like the best way to present it to you guys, because I have like one set where it's the original cards and then I have the clarification cards. So I think what we're actually going to do is just go by each section like one by one instead of looking at them separately. Okay, as in like this card versus this card. Okay, so your first cards are the Moon, clarified by the 8 of Pentacles. So what this is telling me is that some of you guys are working really hard for something, and a lot of you guys are probably enjoying what you're doing, but there might be this underlying sense of anxiety or feeling like somebody else is pulling the strings. Like for some of you guys, you might be in a position in a company, if this is like related to a job, where you feel like you're working harder than the position that you deserve, where you're kind of just at the mercy of other people. You may be consciously aware of this or not consciously aware of this, but either way, this is showing you that you do have work of merit, but there's just something that is kind of like off about the situation. Like it's like this feeling of being used for your talents. And if you're more like looking for love, and this is kind of more what your dream is that you're trying to manifest, this could be saying that you're working really, really hard and you're enjoying what you're doing in your relationship, but it's like there's a lot of strings attached, and that might be why you feel like you have to work as hard as you are in this relationship. So it could go either way. The second card here is the Seven of Pentacles reverse, clarified by the Three of Pentacles in reverse. So some of you guys, in spite of like this hard work that you're capable of and that you really enjoy doing, there's still like it's like a hyper independent energy where you're really struggling to collaborate with other people. Like you're struggling to find harmony in your workplace or harmony in your relationships. And you're kind of at the point now where you're starting to get really impatient. Like you're just kind of wondering when you're going to be able to start seeing results, because you know that you're so capable of like giving, like of doing your job really well, or giving your most to this connection. Or if it's like a goal that you haven't really manifested yet, it might be that you're at a point where you've come to realize that you can't just do it on your own. You have to collaborate with other people in order to make your goals come true. So if you're like a freelancer, that could be the case, and you're kind of like you're not really working very well with other people. There's a lot of bad chemistry, and you're starting to get really impatient because it's like you don't want to have to rely on these other people, but there's a part of you that acknowledges that you do. Like it's just kind of where you're at right now in your career path. So the next we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse, clarified by the Three of Swords in reverse. So again, going back to like this feeling of trying to work with other people and having it not go over very smoothly. Some of you could feel a little bit used. Some of you can feel like you're overgiving, or some of you could just feel on the other end of that, you might be really tempted to be greedy because there's like this past hurt that you're holding on to. So maybe like this imbalance, like working with other people or working with a past relationship. So for those of you looking for love, it could be an ex. Like this is really tainted, like the way that you approach relationships. And again, this could be in work, or it can be in love, or this can be in just any general affairs leading up to your goals, where you're overcompensating to protect yourself against like what happened in the past, where you're either not giving enough or you're overgiving. So it could be either one of those. And so yeah, again, this Three of Swords is in reverse. So it's kind of, in some ways, I guess for this, it just seems to be more like this is like your delay of not being able to really like put that to rest, and you're still kind of, you're looking at it still, and you're at the point now where you're supposed to be moving on, because your next card was the Four of Swords. And in this deck, especially with like the art, you can see that like the Three of Swords are there, but then this guy, he's lying in the ground with his own like proper sword, and he's kind of just resting, just waiting for his moment to come back out of the ground, and like he's just taking a pause. And I feel like that combined with this previous message just saying like, you need to get out of this hibernation mode. You need to stop thinking about like this like pain from the past, and just let yourself get out of the ground and move on to the next step. You can't like hold yourself back, because like right now there's really a lack of balance interpersonally, because you're still kind of in self-preservation mode, if that makes sense. And what clarified this card was the Caballo de Bastos, as well as the Reina de Bastos, and this is a Knight of Wands and the Queen of Wands. In this deck in particular, this one talks more about adventure. This one is very much like a go-getter energy. Both of them are like that, and just really saying that like having a good balance and like a know-how, like being really strong and really passionate and really excited, but also knowing your limits. And so these Knight cards are always cards of actions, and then like the Queen card, this is saying like you definitely like have this power to take the next step, and it's kind of like you're just holding yourself back. Like you need to, again, like you've rested enough. And not all of you, I guess I will say that not all of you have rested enough. Some of you are at the points now where you're ready to move into this energy of taking action and really like being passionate and moving forward and charging forward for what you want. But some of you, like, you do need a little bit more of that rest to tap into this energy of the Queen of Wands and the Knight of Wands. where you can really like have that passion and excitement and really own it. Like maybe some of you are a little bit burned out from other things that are going on. But either way, this is saying that like, yeah, you can definitely be a champion of your dreams. You just have to get to the point where like you're confident to take action, because that's absolutely like the next step that you should be taking. Okay, and then next, oddly enough, we do have the Queen of Wands in reverse for the main card, and that is clarified by the Two of Cups and then the Five of Wands in reverse. So this might be saying that there is a very vindictive or vengeful person around you who's just kind of nasty, that's really like trying to hold you back from making your dreams come true. And this kind of seems to be more of a message for people who are looking for love. But for those of you who are maybe like relying on a partnership in order for your dreams to come true, so whether you guys are like, say, like working on like a podcast or something together, or it's like some sort of creative project like that, or maybe they're like your trainer or teacher or something, there seems to be someone who is jealous of the situation and they're really, really wanting to get in the way of that. But the important thing to remember is that like, yeah, with the Two of Cups, this can be considered like kind of like a soulmate energy. So whether this is like a platonic partner or a romantic partner, you're definitely meant to be working with this person. And then the Five of Wands in reverse, this talks more about like negotiations and being willing to work on things. And it tends to be a little bit more like trivial. So it's not like a super heavy energy, but there's definitely, again, there is like whoever this Queen of Wands is, there's somebody kind of trying to hold you back from achieving this union and like making things work out. And in all honesty, for some of you, this Queen of Wands in reverse is yourselves. For some of you guys, it's kind of like maybe you've been hurt by someone, and so you're kind of preemptively like attacking another person, but this is someone that you really want to like have a strong union with and work things out with, but for like whatever reason you're just kind of not feeling too good about it. Like maybe some of you are a little bit insecure, but the thing is like you don't need to be, because this is someone who wants to work with you. This is someone who you're going to have a strong union and a strong bond with, and you're going to be very accommodating towards each other's like needs and wants and wishes and like passions as well. So there's no need to be on the offense with this person. Okay, and then your last two cards are the Lovers, which came out at the same time with the King of Swords. So for those of you who are just more career focused, not really thinking about a relationship, this is something where there's like this highly passionate thing that you think a lot about, that's really like concrete, something that gives you a lot of comfort in your mind, something that just seems like it's just a weird like combination, because this is definitely like a lot of passion, like harmony and union, and this is definitely more of like the logical, reasonable, and grounded person. And the fact that these are coming out together in a way is kind of encouraging, because it's like whatever this union is, so whether this is just like a passion that you're pursuing, or like a business partner, or an actual romantic partner, there's a lot of chemistry. Oops. But not only that, but there's also like you can take a step back and think like logically, like, yeah, this is a person that I'm supposed to be working with. This is a person that makes sense for me to date. Like there's reasons like beyond just like the carnal of why things work so well. And clarifying these two cards is the Eight of Wands. And this one can talk a lot about like receiving a message in this deck specifically. So it seems like if you don't know who this Lover's energy is, or like who this partnership that you're supposed to be having, if you don't know who this person is, you will be getting some kind of communication or message moving forward. And it's going to kind of come in really fast and unexpectedly, and it's going to seem like perfect. It's going to like check all your boxes. So again, whether this is someone that you're working with or someone that you're going to become romantically involved with. I'm not going to say that this is an entirely new person. It's not really clear if they're a new person, a person of the past, or if you already know them or not. But it's going to feel to both your very like passionate side as well as your more logical mind. Or it could even be that Yeah, like so for some of you it could be just that you connect like really well on like a lot of passions, like maybe you have like the same vision for business or you're the same vision for your goals and you really want to work together because of that. But then like maybe one of you is a more passionate one and then the other one is a little bit more logic oriented, and so you complement each other really well and balance each other out. And then for others of you who are more like love focused, it could be like that same energy where one of you is just more physical and then the other person is more logical. But if you're looking for love, it just seems more like this person coming into your life is just going to be that like that logical kind of a person who's like really strong and they're really confident. And like when they come forward with like this message, I'm not going to say that it's necessarily going to be like a romantic message. But it's going to have those kind of undertones if you're looking for love. But it's going to be something that you've wanted from this person. I will say that. And so, yeah, but just keep in mind though that there is this Queen of Wands in reverse energy that is there right now that you need to be wary of. There's going to be someone who might be trying to interfere or hold you back. And again, some of you, this might be yourself. So to recap, like the messages here, it seems like some of you, like you need to focus more on being able to negotiate, like just accept that that's part of the life. There's also something in your past that you need to let go of so you can have like a better and healthier balance with things. Some of you are overgiving, some of you are being too selfish. And then also it's at the point now where most of you you're done resting, or you're getting to the point where you're done resting and it's time to take action on the things that you're passionate about. Like you're ready, like you're there, you're good to go. Let's see here. I'm just trying to see overall. Yeah, some of you might just be clouded by some anxieties and some worries, or you might just feel like attached to like current situations, and some of you are going to have to change that, what your current situation is before you can get this offering, before you can get this union with this partner. Again, whether it's like business or romantic. But there is going to be somebody coming into your life, if they aren't already in there, who is going to help you actualize these dreams and these goals. And they're going to be very grounded, very reasonable, very logical. Okay, so what we're going to do next then, before I do that, for those of you who are looking for love, I did pull some messages about what they would say to you. If you're not looking for love, this could be from somebody else. I mean, these could still be messages that maybe you need to hear for one reason or another. They could be messages from your higher self, or they could be from someone that you're not expecting to come into your life. Or these can even be platonic messages. That's how they can be interpreted as well. So take what resonates. So the first message that you guys have from your person are, people are telling me to leave. So again, this kind of plays off from the message at the very beginning. It seems like there's a lot of gossip that's interfering with this. That might be the Queen of Wands in reverse. Someone is intentionally trying to sabotage this relationship or this business that you're trying to pursue. The next card is, you are everything to me. So again, for those of you who are looking for love, this is definitely a very deep connection with someone, because we had the Lovers and the Two of Cups come out. And this is someone who really, 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 really wants to work on things with you. Not only that, but they're sorry. So this person might have been the reason for this Three of Pentacles in reverse. This person might be the one that in the past, like, you guys had really bad chemistry and things weren't working out, and then you also have like this Three of Swords in reverse and like this overgiving or undergiving energy, and also like this Moon energy of anxiety. Like this person might be saying that they're realizing that they didn't give you what you deserved, and that maybe they let their past influence them too much, and they do want to apologize. And that might be the message that this Eight of Wands is for some of you, is that they regret what they did and they're sorry. And then lastly, their last message is, I want to change. So yeah, this person, again, they really value you. They want to keep you in their lives. And I believe that they're saying that they want to change because they want to change to, not just for you, but because they realized that the way that they acted was stupid. They realized that they were being unfair. And they want to make it right for you. Okay? All right. So Here is your oracle card. It's by Victoria Francis, number 36. This one is called Winter Rebirth. The overall messages or ideas of this card are confidence, ability, and multitasking. The ability to look and feel confident when there is chaos around you is quite an art. However, it shows how much you have grown as a person in the last few years. Challenges have made you stronger, and you can hold your head high and be proud of what you have achieved. You have an air of confidence about you. Others can also see this and are watching you blossom into the person you wish to be. You're protected and connected to your higher self, a beautiful gift. Learn to use this wisely and watch life expand beautifully. There are messages all around you. Open your eyes to synchronicities. Spirits are talking to you and showing you the way. So again, like going back to this Eight of Pentacles energy, there's definitely a talent or a gift that you have that you want to focus on. And there are going to be people around you who are looking at you, and some people are going to be jealous and try to sabotage what you have going for you. And then there's going to be other people who are really just going to be admiring you from afar. Just keep that in mind, that like how good you are at this thing that you're trying to do, whether it's just like in your relationship or at work. That's kind of more like a work message, I guess. It's just people are getting jealous. Like they're looking at you and they're seeing what you have, and it's pretty good. But overall, yeah, again, it is saying that you have this amazing ability and you should be confident of that. And there's going to be a lot of things going on, but you know what? You can do it. I mean, like, yeah, she's just pretty, you know, she's looking at the bird there too. Okay. And then lastly, you do have some advice. This is going to be from the White Light Oracle. I'm just going to read directly from the book. It's number 30. The explanations for these cards are quite long, so I'm only going to read a small excerpt. This one is called the Vulva of Satyr. Your inner spiritual power can heal circumstances in your life, in our world, in greater ways than you realize. Journey within to gain clarity and conscious redirection of your inner energy towards what you wish to manifest. Do not try to control what is happening. Instead, work to bring positive influence to bear so that you may contribute constructively towards shaping the outcome for the greatest good. So again, there is some kind of, like some of you, this might be like a spiritual ability that you guys have. Some kind of like, you might have some sort of connection and wisdom and intuition that others lack, that make you so good at what you do, or just make you such a valuable person to be in a relationship with. And it's inviting you to really lean into that and those abilities. All right, so I guess that's about it for you guys for today, and I hope to see you in another video. Thank you.